I did it for 5 years. I'm fine.
Yes, thank you, committee members of the public. Sarah tells me we're live. The first order of this today again is to appoint a chair for this meeting. We could.
I nominate Rebecca.
I'll second that. I'm comfortable acting as chair for the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, committee.
Thank you, Jim.
For your chair.
Thank you for that. So at the beginning of the meeting, I'm going to give a long-winded speech about our procedures today. So thank you everyone for joining us and for your patience. So applications before the Committee of Adjustment are assessed by the 4 tests to be met in granting a minor variance. Our committee will grant an application if it is satisfied that the application or proposal is number 1 is minor, 2 is desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land, building or structure, 3 maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and 4 maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. Committee members individually review each application. We individually undertake site visits and individually form an opinion. Committee members assemble at this meeting to render a decision. Staff will review any comments received on the application and also provide the planner's assessment of the application. The applicant or their agent are then asked if they would identify themselves and would like to speak on the application. Anyone from the public who requested attendance will then be given an opportunity to speak on the application after identifying themselves and providing their name and street address for the record. Committee members may then ask questions, make statements of opinion, followed by their decision, which is voted on by committee members. Members of the public watching live via YouTube who wish to make any comment are asked to email planning@ektwp.ca. So the comments can be relayed to the committee. You must provide your name and street address in your emailed comments for the public record. So the decision of the committee may be to grant the application as presented, grant the application with modifications or conditions if the committee feels the application can be improved, or to reject the application. A verbal decision will be made at this meeting unless there is a reason to defer the decision, and a written decision will follow within 10 days. To receive a copy of the decision, you must make a written request for such to the Secretary Treasurer to the Committee of Adjustment. If the application is granted, there is a 20-day appeal period from the date of the decision where an application can be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If work is proposed to commence prior to the ending of the appeal period, the applicant can consult with planning staff regarding an option to enter into a conditional building permit with the township. So that's the end of that. The next item on our agenda would be to adopt Committee of the Adjustment meeting minutes that were dated April 24th, 2025 and circulated with the agenda. Can I have some moved by Holly and seconded by Brian? So we all vote to approve adopt the meeting minutes from the previous meeting. Thank you for that. So moving on now, we're going to consider the applications. So notice anyone in attendance. If anyone other than the applicant wishes to receive further notice on an application, please again leave your name and address with the Secretary Treasurer. So we will now consider application A0525. I'll read out the application details as chair provided in the agenda. So this application, A0525, the Brisbois property is located at 406 Hillcrest Road. The subject lands are zoned to state residential. The applicant is seeking relief from zoning bylaw 13021 as amended to permit the construction of a 12-meter square residential addition to a single-family dwelling on the subject property on the same footprint as an existing deck. To allow for the proposed construction, relief from zoning bylaw 1321 as amended is required from the following provisions. Section 5.3.2, estate residential zone, where in an estate residential zone, the minimum rear yard setback required is 9 meters and where 6 meters is proposed. So our township planner, Mr. Jim Hutton, will now, I call on you to provide and review any written comments we've received to date and to provide the planning assessment.
Sorry, we need to adopt the meeting agenda.
And disclosure.
And disclosure of pecuniary interests.
I skipped ahead
before we go
a couple of
into
items. Pardon me. Before we go ahead, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda for today's meeting? Brian, yes, seconded by Holly. And an opportunity for disclosure of pecuniary interests from any member of the committee. Brian?
No.
Holly? No. And there are none for myself.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you, Sarah.
A high speed delivery.
Mr. Hutton, if you could please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair, members of the public. I'll start with the background. The subject property is approximately 0.71 hectares in size, currently developed with a dwelling, deck, and detached garage. Permit was issued for the construction of the house and deck in 2020. The original permit showed the deck in a different location on the north side of the dwelling. This building permit was approved, but during the process, the location of the deck was changed to the rear of the dwelling. This altered location did not comply with the required setbacks of the zone, and the change was not sent to the planning department for review. The applicant is proposing to convert a portion of the deck into a sunroom, and hence this variance requirement came to light. In terms of the provincial policy statement, the lands are considered rural lands by the PPS, and a variety of uses are permitted, including limited residential development. Staff have reviewed the PPS, and we have no concerns with the application for minor variance being consistent with the PPS. In terms of the county official plan, the lands are designated rural lands, and staff have reviewed the applicable policies of the county official plan and have no concerns with conformity with the county official plan. In terms of our official plan, the lands are designated residential, and the residential designation does permit residential uses and accessory structures. The schedule of the official plan also identifies some significant woodlands and a water course on the property. Due to the existing development on the property and that the proposed works will occur on the footprints of the existing structures, an environmental impact study is not normally required. It's being waived in terms of the significant woodlands, and the proposal is sufficiently distanced from the water course. So we have no concerns as staff with conformity with our official plan. In terms of the zoning bylaw, the chair's mentioned the need for the minor variance to be reduced from, I gotta remember it myself now, to 6 meters, from 9 meters to 6 meters. And there is a 30-meter water setback required, but this proposal is being met, so there's no issue with the water setback. As mentioned by the chair in her initial comments, the committee must consider the 4 tests for minor variances that are outlined in the Planning Act. In terms of desirable development, the existing use of the property is low-density residential use. Due to the location of the property, there should be little to no visual impact for any surrounding properties, as the proposal is at the rear of the property adjacent to a forested area. The proposed addition to dwelling could be considered desirable in terms of the development itself. In terms of maintaining the intent and purpose, both official plans, residential development is permitted. There is setback regulations in the zoning bylaw. And given that no negative impacts on the property are anticipated and all other regulations are met, it's recommended to committee that the proposed variance meets the intent and purpose of both official plans. In terms of the 3rd test, maintaining the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, the required setback is 9 meters, while 6 meters is proposed for the residential addition. The location selected for the addition is on the same footprint as the existing deck. It is not near any structures on the neighboring properties. The addition should have little to no impact on the property or the surrounding properties. And due to the existing residential development and location of the addition, the request appears to meet the intent of the zoning bylaw as well. Is the variance minor in nature? The 4th test, as committee is aware, there are no mathematical formulas for a minor variance. Each variance must be requested on its own merit. The proposed 6-meter rear setback is requested to build a 12 square meter addition to the existing dwelling. The existing residence is just outside the 9-meter setback. The area of the proposed sunroom is adjacent to a large forested parcel where no negative impacts are anticipated. The staff recommends that committee could consider that this be minor in nature. In terms of others consulted, the Planning Act requires us to circulate the application internally and to a number of agencies. We did receive 2 emails on the circulation, one from the Conservation Authority, the email dated May 22nd, 2025, which is today, stating they had no concerns with the proposed variance. And we also received an email from our Public Works Department today as well, stating that they had no concerns with the proposed variance. At this point, Chair, I'll turn it back to you and the committee for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now like to call upon the applicant or their agent if they have any other further comments to provide. Is somebody here? Hi.
No, I don't. Everything that he said, I agree with.
So can I have you identify yourself by
I'm
name?
Robert Brisebois,
Robert,
and I'm
please.
the person who put the application in for the minor variance.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Homeowner.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public who requested to be present at this meeting, for comments? I'm not seeing any and we haven't had anything come in. So I guess, that leads it to us committee members to chat about things, and offer some initial comments or thoughts on the application. Maybe Brian, we'll start with you.
You the original homeowner?
Yes,
Thank you. No, I'm fine. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Holly, do you have any?
No, it's a large property. There's already a non-compliant deck. And I certainly have sympathy for anybody wanting to convert an open deck into a sunroom if they don't want to be eaten alive all summer. It appears that there's going to be no significant impact to change from an open deck to an enclosed structure. No impact on significant woodlands or the watercourse, no impact on the neighbors with the large woodland lot at the rear. So no, I find it meets all four tests. And no concerns have been stated, as Jim said, by any of the appropriate authorities.
Thank you, Holly. I echo the other two committee members. This is pretty straightforward, especially being next to such a large wooded property and not having any impact on the neighboring properties. So I don't have any concerns. I think at this point, we can ask if there's anyone in attendance who has any final comments or questions. And this is our last chance. If anything else come in from YouTube, Sarah?
No.
No. So we'll take this to an official vote. I'll call on my committee members, same order, Brian, you're in favor or opposed?
Fine by me.
And Holly?
I'm in favor.
I'm also in favor, so that's a good, easy, unanimous decision. We approve this application AO 525. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That closes the hearing on AO 525, which allows us to move on to the next application, AO 625. Surprise, surprise. So AO 625 is referring to a vacant lot on County Road 8. The subject lands are zoned estate residential. The applicant is seeking relief from zoning bylaw 13.1 as amended to permit the severance of a property to allow two properties with undersized frontages. To allow for the proposed construction, relief from zoning bylaw 13.1 as amended is required from the following provisions, which is Section 10.1 rule zone. Where in a rule zone, the minimum frontage required is 45 meters and where 40.4 meters is proposed for the two proposed lots.
It's on County Road 6, not 8.
Okay,
My name's.
that's,
Newton.
thank you, County Road 6. That appears to be a result of my aging eyesight. So my apologies, and thank you for the clarification. So I'll now call again on Township Planner Jim Hutton to provide any planning assessment and any written comments that we've received.
Thanks very much, Chair, members of the committee and public. The subject property in terms of background is 2 hectares in size, which is over 4 acres. The lands are currently vacant and are subject to a future severance application, which is currently in the pre-consultation stage with the township. Pre-consultation determined that a minor variance may be required or is required depending on the frontage that could be attained from closing a road allowance. The lands are also subject to a road closure application with the township. Council has approved the request to close the township right of way that is adjacent to the subject property, but the transfer has not yet been completed. After council approved the closure, an applicant contracted a surveyor to survey the lands. The survey found that the lands had 80 meters of frontage on the County Road 6, while 90 meters would be required to meet frontage regulations for the 2 proposed lots. The applicant is proposing a severed and retained lot with 40.4 meters of frontage each, hence the request for the minor variance. Prior to formally applying for a severance application with United Counties and Leeds and Grenville, the applicant is seeking this variance. In terms of the provincial policy statement, the lands are rural lands and limited residential development is permitted in rural lands. Staff has reviewed the PPS and we have no concerns with consistency with the provincial planning statement. In terms of the county official plan, staff has also reviewed that as designated rural lands. And similar to the PPS, the county official plan permits limited residential development, and staff is recommending that the proposal conforms with the county official plan. In terms of the township's official plan, the lands are also designated rural. And the rural designation permits limited residential uses, specifically 2 severances per holding is a policy in our official plan. Significant woodlands are identified on the subject property. An environmental impact study will be required to support the severance application, but is not required at this time. Staff have reviewed the applicable policies and recommend that the proposal conforms with the official plan. In terms of the township zoning bylaw, the property is zoned rural. Section 10.1 provides the RU zone provisions. Minimum lot frontage is to be 45 meters, while the applicant is proposing 40.4 meters for the 2 proposed lots. Committee must consider the 4 tests that were mentioned by the chair. In terms of desirability, the proposed use of the property is for a low-density residential use. The reduced frontage will have no impact on gaining access to the proposed lots. County staff have confirmed that they would grant access to these lots through entrance permits through the severance. That's county staff. This is a county road. And we did receive an email from the county indicating that they have no objection from the proposal. So once the severance is brought forward, it'll go through their process, and they've indicated they would have no problem with the access. Therefore, the proposed frontage could be considered by the committee to be desirable development. In terms of maintaining the intent purpose of the OP, the policies of the rural designation allow low density residential development, both OPs, and they rely on zoning for frontage regulation. So staff considers that the proposed minor variance meets the intent and purpose of the official plans, given that there are no negative impacts on the property are anticipated. In terms of maintaining the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, the required frontage is 45 meters, while 40.4 is proposed for 2 future lots. This reduction would not have any effect on the lot area, nor would it limit access for future development on the lots. Due to the road closure and proposed residential development on the lots, the request for the frontage reduction could be considered by committee to meet the intent of the zoning bylaw. And the 4th test is minor in nature. The proposed 40.4 meter frontage is requested for 2 proposed lots. The request has been split across the 2 proposed lots as to lessen the reduction required to 4.6 meters for each lot rather than 9.2 meters for 1 lot. The reduction will not have any negative impacts on access, the proposed uses or adjacent lands. Staff recommend that the request can be considered minor in nature. In terms of the consultation, as I mentioned earlier, we received an email from the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville regarding the access, and they have no objection to the proposal. Sarah did receive a couple of calls from nearby property owners who were seeking some clarification on the proposal. Sarah talked to them about the road closure and the use of a property across from one property owner in particular that was not near this property, so the proposed lot would have no effect on it. Sarah gave both property owners who called an opportunity that they could send an official comment in writing or attend this meeting, and I don't believe they're at this meeting, and I don't see them online. So that's all I have at this point. Sharon, I'll turn it back to you.
Excellent, thank you so much. I'll now call upon the applicant if you have anything else you want to add.
The one we are putting a lot on, the second would be just retain we own 50 acres behind it. For like encompassed with that, and we're trying to get a lot there. And the other one is our access to 50 acres, so we're not planning on building on it or anything.
Excellent. I think we just verified that we don't have any members of the public who requested to be here, so I will chat with my committee members and see if they have any comments or questions. Holly?
I am supporting this application. 40.4 meters is still, to me, pretty healthy frontage and minor in nature. I know the process goes on from here that we don't have to particularly worry about. We just need to meet the 4 tests, and I find that it does. It's desirable, it meets the intent and purpose for the official plan and zoning bylaw. It's minor, and I support it.
Thank you. Brian, do you have any questions or comments?
Everything Holly just said.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. This one to me is very straightforward, and I think the process is a bit more complicated downstream of this meeting. Is there anybody in attendance who has any final comments or questions? And Sarah, did anyone send any email comments or anyone on YouTube who's looking to comment? No, okay, so then I think we can call an official vote. Can I just call all in favor of this application? I think it's a unanimous decision that we again are happy to approve this application. So thank you. This one is also approved, and that would close the hearing on application A625. Thank you for coming in and going through that with us.
Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you. That brings us to the next item on our agenda, is just other business. Is there any other business anyone would like to bring forward or discuss at this point? I see nothing. Currently, our next meeting date is scheduled for Thursday, June 26th, 2025 at 4 p.m. This is our last chance for public questions. Anybody, any other questions come in? No?
No.
Okay, well then I will go ahead and move to adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming today.
Thanks, Barry.